Originally, Alexis came to us with this idea that he wanted to ride his motorcycle from Land's End all the way to General Groats. At that point, I had never actually heard of such a journey that had ever taken place. I'd never known that people would actually do this. But what caught me off guard wasn't the fact that he wanted to do this journey, because the distance was, say, 700 to about 800 miles. Rather, it was the time frame he was looking to do the journey in. He was looking to do the journey within 24 hours or less.
Leading up to the journey, I had to make sure that all my tires were correct. I took my motorcycle for a full service before the trip. I had the new chain put on, even though I probably could have carried on with the old chain for a while. I just could not afford any failure or anything going wrong. I left my motorcycle parked outside in front of the hotel for the first time in my life. Normally I always park it in the back, or I ask if I can hide it away somewhere, but yesterday I was just so focused on today's ride, I just simply forgot about it and thought for one night it'll be okay, nothing can happen in a small town like this. I came to the motorcycle this morning and it was vandalized. The bells were ripped off, the pannier box was broken into, stuff was taken out, various bits and pieces like the front windscreen were broken. And now I know why people always park in the backyards or something like that. You do it once and then it happens. Anyway, I'm still relaxed about it. It's a good journey ahead, so I won't let that spoil my mood. But just a warning to everybody, there's a reason why people park motorcycles in the back garden, for example, of a hotel, and don't leave it out the front. My mistake, live and learn. Yesterday when we were riding up here, we stopped at a service station. And then some other motorcyclists, they saw me take my helmet off and they said, "Hey, you're the guy from the channel." And I said, yeah, fine. Yeah. So I was quite surprised that, you know, lots of people seem to be starting to watch the channel now, and it's starting to get popular. And so last night I thought to myself, yeah, I mean, if all these people are watching this film now, watching the channel where I've advertised the journey and gone on the Facebook group, you know, all these people's eyes are on me, and I started to feel quite nervous, and I thought, okay, let me go to the bathroom, and when I came back, I tripped over Halim's cable, which went from the far end wall of the room up to his bed, and the way his blanket and pillows were lying on the floor as well, I couldn't actually see whether the cable was going up to his bed or pillows which he had put down, because like sometimes people, when they have cats, they put the pillows beside the bed and the cat sleeps there, you know, and I couldn't actually see whether it was either going to the pillows or whether it was going into the bed. And I was thought to myself, well, I've seen people take their computer to bed, but actually sleep, you know, properly with their computer. I've never seen that before, and I found that so funny. I started laughing, and all my worries just simply vanished. So I'm really glad I shared the twin room with Halim. It makes me feel a lot happier and comfortable now. So yeah, it'll be good.
One of the preparations that we had to go through in order to get Alexis ready for his trip was speaking to an organization called Bike-Hud. We were able to speak to a very kind gentleman called Mr. Vout. Mr. Vout, he gave us a piece of equipment which would, as a prototype, allow Alexis to ride more efficiently and safer. And it was a very, very smart and intelligent designed piece of equipment, because it allows the rider to see the miles and the speed that he's going at, but also the gears that he's in. And what it does, it fits onto the rider's helmet just about there. So it's in his peripheral vision, but not affecting his main vision, which is brilliant. So it's almost having a speedometer about there while riding your bike.
The plan of the journey was to do the first half without the Bike-Hud and the second half with the Bike-Hud, to compare the two, how much easier riding becomes actually with that Bike-Hud, because you're not having to always look down at the dashboard and you can constantly concentrate on the road ahead. And starting off from Land's End, and especially on some of the motorways, when you have lots of cars moving about, changing lane, and then at the same time you want to stay within the speed limit and you want to ride safely. And of course I had my additional promise made, that I was going to stay within that 70 miles per hour. How was the drive up here? It was excellent. Nice, wet and rainy. Very exciting, very adventurous. Sunshine is for tourists. Rainy weather is for enduro Alexis. We're having the Bike-Hud fitted to the motorcycle. It's a bit of a procedure. We have to take the tank off to get to the spark plugs on the V-Strom and put all this wiring and cabling here. And Dave is doing a brilliant job at it so far, working quickly and making sure that everything works for the ride that we have planned from Land's End to John Groats.
Well, what we're doing right now is we're installing the grassroots system of Bike-Hud, which consists of as we mentioned before, the handlebar mounted unit, which is where the GPS and the navigation fits in terms of navigating around the 4 buttons, and we'll go through that when we've got it all up and running. It has an onboard computer, which is a bit bigger than an iPhone. So that's really the brains of the operation.
Dave, can you hold the cable? Yes.
Get it?
Yeah.
How's the ride going so far? Good points and bad points.
How is the ride going so far? Well, the good points is it's quite adventurous because of the rain and because of the strong winds, which make everything more exciting. The only thing I will say, when the winds really pick up, I get blown about, which sends you guys, the camera team, watching me from behind, suddenly flying all over the place into a bit of a fright. But I'll be okay. It's all just. It looks worse than it actually is, and it sometimes is just quite an experience. If it was all just plain sailing, it would be boring, wouldn't it? My plan was to ride during the night, from especially arriving there early in the morning, and of course, if you're already starting at lunchtime, you've already lost half the day pretty much. And then as the evening progresses and comes in, of course, slowly fatigue kicks in. In my case, that wasn't necessarily so, because with new things coming in, adrenaline kicks in, and I like riding at night as well. But of course, there are additional challenges with that as opposed to during the daytime.
What really got difficult, that I was struggling with, was when we got to about 11-12 o'clock. Because by 11-12 o'clock, you've been sitting in a car for almost, because we left at 12, for almost 12 hours now. And even though we've changed here and there, I'm still in a car, and I'm holding a camera. The way we'd positioned the tripod was right on the, coming from the floor of the car up, and it was between my legs. So I mean, I'm standing there, I'm sitting there the whole time with this here. So there's that, kind of uncomfortability level there. And as I'm dozing off, if I remember rightly, it started to pour down with rain, and it started to pour down heavily, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm falling asleep, I'm trying to get a good shot here, and now it's raining, so I have to wait for the rain to still stay awake. And then it dawned on me, what am I doing? All I'm doing is following a person. And out there, 30 meters in front of me, is a man on a motorcycle who's been riding this whole way without sleeping, who has been out there in the rain and the wind on a motorcycle, not a car. A car is a contained box, but a motorcycle, you are feeling that environment, you are in that environment. If it's raining, you are in the rain. If it's windy or it's stormy, you are there. And imagine all of those things and being tired, but still having to concentrate and lead the car behind you in order to get good shots of you. And that's when it dawned upon me that, yeah, it's tough for me, but this guy is really Enduro Alexis.
I don't mind too much if it rains at times, because that actually makes the journey a bit more interesting, even if the downpour is sometimes heavy. During the daytime it's not so much of a problem because you still have good vision, and it puts you through different situations, and then you just simply deal with them as they come along. Thoughts that were going through my mind as we were riding the journey was constantly, will we make it, will we make it, will we be successful? Has there been any damage to my motorcycle from when it had been vandalized? But of course, as you progress afterwards past places like Birmingham, Manchester and so on, you know, everything's fine, it's got to be, otherwise you wouldn't have made it this far. You still wonder, you know, how the roads are going to be ahead. And are all the petrol stations going to be open, especially up in Scotland, out in the countryside? Will you make it in time? I think there was one where we had like an hour to spare before it closed, but if there was going to be anything happening on the way to that petrol station, and if we would not have made it to that petrol station before it closed, that again would have been the end of the trip.
What was going through my mind when we were following Alexis was a simple question: how much more does this man have to give? When you're in a car, you have the ability to turn on the AC, and you have the ability to open the windows and warm yourself up when you're cold. When you're on a motorcycle, you have no luxuries. You just have the freedom of the environment around you, and you have to be willing to take on board how fun or how painful or how tough that environment may be. And what was going through my mind, as I said, was how much more has this person got to give? Because there were times which I saw in myself that it was tough for me to continue. It wasn't unbearable, but it was tough for me to continue. Whereas with this person, he just kept on going and going and going. And when I asked him, is this one of the toughest journeys you've been on? And he just smiled as if, no, I've been on tougher. So it made me think, how much more has this person got to go? You know, what would be a challenge for Enduro Alexis? And when I saw that, it changed from that question to almost encouraging him. I wanted to see him complete. I wanted him to get to the end. So what I could say is, for the first part or half, I was thinking, can he complete it? Can he do it? But by the time we were getting to the end, I was like, come on, Alexis, keep going, keep going, keep going. You know, you really are doing an amazing job.
Well, haven't got much left to go. We were up near Carlisle, and then we thought to ourselves, you know, maybe do another stop in between, but everything was been going so well, so we just carried on the nearly 100 miles up to nearly Glasgow, where we are now. So not far left to go. We have another 6 hours according to the GPS, and another 12 hours according to our time schedule that we set ourselves, our time limit. But I think with the progress that we're making, being disciplined and carrying on, and still staying within the speed limits, we'll be doing fine. When we got to the last 100 miles before reaching John O'Groats, I really felt a sense of achievement of having ridden all this distance, you know, and having travelled throughout the UK all in one go.
It was almost like a dream come true, because we'd gone through so much. You know, we were tired, we were fatigued, we wanted to see what John O'Groats was, what it looked like. In a comical way, you know, we were aiming to get to the promised land. So we were waiting to see where this place was and what was the fuss about and why Alexis decided to do this whole journey, including charity, but where were we going and what was going to be the reaction there. I mean, we were already happy and ecstatic, but we were just waiting for him to touch that line. Everything, all of our energy was focused positively on him passing that line, which was the line to get to John O'Groats.
there. We're not the first people to have made this journey, but we're definitely the first people to have made a proper film about it.
When we finally arrived to the second part of the John of Groats, because we were under the assumption that there was only one place for us to kind of rally at as the finish, and we quickly went to the second point. I think it was at the second point that we truly saw the scenic beauty of John of Groats, and we were able to take that in and sit down and relax and ponder.
I think when you do something like this, you learn a lot about team working and accepting other people's opinions and ideas.
Alexis is a person that won't be held down by a simple challenge, and he is willing to do some amazing projects. We've been discussing and having meetings with him for almost 3 months. Actually, prior to this ride, 6 to 7 months, and we have some amazing things planned. Dark Tarka Productions would like to produce as much content as possible with Insurer Alexis to kind of amplify the voice that he already has, and we believe that with the nature of the work that he's doing, we can definitely expect in the future some amazing productions to come out. So watch this space, keep your eye on Alexis Cardes, because that guy is going places.